Oh cool, another predator, but not the type that gives you candy. So I think this one starts with a girl placing a curse on me. Wouldn't be the first time. Then she said a monster came here a long time ago, but this place doesn't look like a place for monsters. There's water, grass, and just like 2 deers. Looks pretty peaceful to me. There's even a regular young girl sleeping, but someone wakes her. Oh, wait, this isn't a regular girl. Surely not with all that on her face. Even her dog looks suspect. Anyway, she's out cutting up some stuff and her dog runs away barking, and next thing she's practicing her axe throwing on the tree. She doesn't miss, but when it's time to hit an actual target, a deer running in the woods, her aimbot fails her. Oh dear. Instead of getting the deer, she got her dog caught in a trap, but this dog right here is built different. Once he's released from the trap, he's out running and jumping immediately. Guess you can say he's got that dog in him. But to be fair, she very nearly caught the deer until a noise from above gave the deer a heads up. She hears that same noise again. Apparently that's something they call a thunderbird. Next thing, she's practicing her bow and arrow skills. Minecraft moment. She's not really practicing, to be honest. She's aiming for a long time while her brother is saying some stuff. Then she makes a snoring noise to signal that he was boring her. So our alpha brother right here just took the bird out in 1 second. Of course, he mocked her, as he should. Anyway, she's now telling her brother about that noise from earlier. She says she believes it's a sign that she's ready for her katamiya. I think that's how you say it. I'm not really sure what it is. Okay, actually it's a rite of passage for the hunters in the village, and it means the big hunt, I think. She goes back to her little hut and she's now crushing some, I know that ain't what I think it is. Oh, actually it's her mother crushing the greens while she feeds her dog and sends him away. Apparently it's just some herbs for a sick person. Now her mother's asking her why she wants to hunt so bad when she's good at many other things, and she tells her she wants to hunt because they all think she can't. Woman empowerment moment. While they're talking, Hunter Girl's brother comes in with the bird he clapped earlier while her mother sends her to get some herbs called orange tutsia. But before she gets it, we see some transparent beast guy. That's the predator I was talking about. Pretty intimidating stuff, I tell ya. Anyway, she's got what she came for and is about to head back home when she sees her brother and some other dudes going out to hunt a lion. That was a cue to run back home, but you know these folks in movies don't think. She joins the boys and is very nearly even shot on arrival. Watch the friendly fire. One of the boys makes fun of her saying they won't be needing a cook. Ha, got him. But her brother defends her and convinces the boy to let her stay. Equality. And of course, she ends up being useful to them. Her dog helps her find an injured person and she treats the person with her herbs. By the time she's done, it's already nighttime. Some guys take the injured guy home while her brother continues on the hunt alone. She wants to go with him, but he tells her to stay with the injured guy who needs her. She reluctantly agrees. On her way back home, she sees some scary tracks of a huge animal that make her fear for her brother's safety, so she turns back to warn him. Some guy follows her. Everybody seems to think it's just a bear, but she's thinking it's something bigger. An average American woman, perhaps. Anyway, that was how she ended up joining her brother in the hunting. The lad is serious now. He tells her that he thinks it's finally for her katamiya, aka big hunt. At this point, her brother goes to do something and the guy she's with is giving the most discouraging words to her, saying she's not ready and that she won't be able to put the lion down, while he's boasting that he and her brother will clap the lion. The lion appears and tears him apart easily. Yeah, so much for that, tough guy. Little awkward now, isn't it? But our big cat is not satisfied with one dinner. He wants another serving, so he's going for Naru now. He climbs up the tree and when he charges at her, she falls off the branch and blacks out. Terrible news. She survived. She wakes up at home with her mother offering her some tea. Apparently, her brother carried her home and then went after the lion. But there's some good news. The guy she treated survived. So is Naru a hunter girl or a doctor girl now? Anyway, instead of enjoying her rest, this girl is already itching to go out again. Thank goodness for her mother who stops her. Moments later, her brother comes back with a dead lion on his shoulder. He didn't need her help after all. While everybody is celebrating her warrior brother, she, with a straight face, turns around to leave. He follows her and we find out that she's convinced that there's something else out there. She insists that they go back out and get the thing, but he says no. And she tells him she'll go without him if she has to. Before she leaves, her brother breaks her heart by telling her that she may not be made for this life after all. He tells her she's not man enough for this hunting stuff, which is racist. Then he turns around and leaves. I don't know how she managed to sleep that night after being violated like that, but she did. The last time someone did me like that, I at least needed a hot shower. Naru wakes up the next morning and is back on her grind like nothing ever happened. She goes out to get that thing she so strongly believes is out there. This time she goes alone and without help from anyone. Well, except for her ever loyal dog. It's cool though, my only friend is a cat. What we see next is a little Nat Geo Wild commercial break. Okay, maybe not, cause I know for sure I ain't ever seen this transparent man on Nat Geo Wild before. It seems like this so-called predator is some kind of jungle justice advocate, cause he only goes for the animals who kill smaller animals. He did it once before with the snake. Anyway, it appears that Naru actually is not so great at axe throwing as she throws at a rabbit and misses twice. She probably just needs to buy a new gaming mouse. Anyway, after that stinker, she realizes she needs more practice, so she gets into it. After sharpening her skills, she finally gets a kill. Good thing she did because she might have died due to starving that night if she didn't. Anyway, after dinner, she's back on that grind set. What we now find out is that transparent guy is actually not always transparent. He's flesh and blood, if you'll call that thing flesh. But he turns invisible once he steps out of his cave. I definitely relate to that one. Anyway, Naru keeps going. Then she gets to a field where we see a bunch of animals which have been, unalived. She says some words and moves on. She soon finds herself trapped in quicksand. It's sucking her deeper and deeper, but she throws her axe on a tree and manages to pull herself out, but not before missing 3 or 4 times. Skill issue. She washes up and is immediately back on her grind. She locks eyes with the bear, but instead of sharing a romantic moment, it charges after her. She shoots arrows at it and misses again. I'm starting to think this young girl is me with how many times she shoots her shot and utterly fails. Anyway, she chooses to go into hiding, and in an interesting turn of events, it's Mr. Alien who comes to her rescue. He kills the bear, but she's so frightened by the sight of the creature that she swims away to safety. At the other side of the river, she sees some guys whom her brother sent to look for her. She goes to tell them about the mysterious transparent creature Alien, but obviously they don't believe her. She doesn't want that negative energy, so she walks away, and in a bid to stop her, one of the guys gets touchy-feely with her and a fight starts. Little did they know, the Predator was having a great view of Monday Night Raw. Anyway, after the fight, one of the boys sends an arrow right into the head of a possum, and the Predator comes for him immediately. 2 to the torso and 1 to the eye, and the guy was dead because he killed him. The other guys managed to shoot an arrow at the Predator, but that only awoken the beast. He really came out of his transparency just to roar. This is the point where I would run away, but this guy decided to square up for a fight. What really goes on in these guys' heads? This dude really thinks he's built different. The Predator reminds him he's not by grabbing his gun and handicapping him with it before adjusting his neck. The second dude had the chance to run too, but he too stupidly attacked and he got the same treatment. Man, what did you think was gonna happen? When he was done clapping all the guys, it was our hunter girl left, and she proved to be the smartest of all of them. She applied the exact same strategy I would have applied if I were in her shoes. She ran as fast as her legs could carry her. She ran until she got into an open field and was stopped by one of her brother's friends. He tries to shoot at the Predator, but then Naru notices that he already has his target on them, so they start running again. Now, a wise man once told me, you don't have to run faster than the bear to get away. You just have to outrun the guy next to you. Fortunately, Naru understood these wise words, so this guy just became lunch. She keeps running, but is stopped when her leg gets caught in a trap. While she's down, some 4 guys heavily armed with AK-47s and speaking a foreign language came and hit her in the face with a gun. Predator was right there, but he didn't kill her, or save her this time like he did with the bear. The men took her away and she woke up in a cage in a location where there were more of these men. Uh-oh, this is about to get sussy. Their leader approaches her in the cage and is trying to stab her with his stick, but she grabs the stick and stabs him instead. Okay, not quite a stab, but a slice. Good enough. They finally find a translator who can speak English, and he asks her what she saw. Apparently, these guys are also looking for the Predator, and they also have her brother. The men tie the siblings to a tree to lure the Predator out and are watching them from a distance. But what they don't know is that this alien fella is a man of justice. He comes from behind and claps every one of them like this is a prison shower. After he finishes them, he gets tired of being transparent. He transforms back and is walking towards the tied siblings. Apparently, he stops being invisible when he thinks the people around aren't threats to him. Naru doesn't think the Predator can be killed, but her brother says, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Told you, this guy's an alpha male, just like everyone who likes this video. As if on cue, some of the foreign language men trap Transparent Guy. Yeah, he's no longer transparent, I guess we do need a new nickname. The men think they've got him. They're laughing and celebrating when Not Transparent Guy springs up and claps every single one of them. Stupidly, more men kept coming out from their hiding places to fight. Not one thought to run away. These men are obviously not very wise. Naturally, the Predator dispatches of these guys left and right with some 22nd century technology. I mean, look at all this stuff. Has science gone too far? Anyway, Naru cleverly cuts herself and her brother loose, and they just leave before an explosion thing the Predator detonates takes out all the men. Then she heads to the foreign village, fights all the men on her own, and takes them all out. And I'm not talking about dates. They were obviously beta males. Then she releases her dog, which they had bound, and then the interpreter guy came along to make a trade with Naru. With just one leg, he's offering to teach her to use his bazooka right here in return for her help to save his life. He teaches her, and she gives him her life-saving herbs in return, before leaving him to take care of himself. The Predator pulls up, but the interpreter plays dead. Smart, but not smart enough. The Predator steps on his half leg, and when he opened his mouth to scream, he ingested some arrows. Tasty. Next target, the dog. What the dog doing? Naru's brother comes to her on a horse and gets a chunk of the Predator's head, though he picks it up and fixes it back. After he does that, Naru tries to shoot at him, but her bazooka jams, so she uses her voice as her weapon. She screams to distract the Predator, and her brother uses that opportunity to bust a load all over his chest. Now he sees her guy as a threat, so he goes transparent again. He kills Naru's brother and then stops being transparent again. He's approaching a girl now who is pointing her gun at him but isn't shooting. Her brother, who is half dead, gave his last shot before he was speared by the Predator one final time. Naru uses that opportunity to disappear, and while she's washing off at the river, someone is going to deliver the unfortunate news to her mother, who breaks down in tears. Now, Naru is hiding in a rock with her dog, but she still can't get herself to use her bazooka, even after seeing one of those men across the river. Instead, she approached him and hit him. She wanted him to pass slow and painfully. She uses him as bait, and Transparent Guy falls for it. He approaches the man and hurts him a lot. And with that, Naru is finally able to get a clean close-range shot. Boom! A part of his head falls off and she takes it and hangs it in between 2 rocks and goes to hide in a tree. When Transparent Guy appears, she jumps on him and axes him repeatedly. Of Of course, that's not enough to take him out, so the fight goes on for a bit. He was this close to beheading her, but she managed to cut off his arm and free herself. Then, with a clean assist from her dog, she cuts off one of the predator's legs and then manages to get him into quicksand. Though, he quickly rises up and points his gun at Naru. But that part of his own head which he hung up between the rocks happens to be the part that does the killing. So technically, he ended up self-deleting himself. She cuts off his head and brings it back to her village where she is now being celebrated. They all swore she was not a hunter, but she eventually proved to them that she not only has that dog with her, she also has that dog in her. Moral of the story? What the dog doing?